Hey guys, this is Big Nick here giving you a new series on my channel, which will be Monday Night Raw reviews. I will always do this the Tuesday after Raw, giving you a review of the Monday Night Raw that passed. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. This is also how I will plan on doing my update videos, and maybe a couple reviews I will do this way. Okay, here we go. This past Monday Night Raw, of course, was the Monday Night Raw after the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, where we saw Randy Orton retain the WWE World's Heavyweight title in the Chamber after both Cena and Bryan were screwed. Cena screwed by the Wyatt family, and Bryan screwed by Kane. So here we go. The Monday Night Raw opens up with the return of Hulk Hogan. Hogan returns home to the WWE. First time he's been seen since the 15th anniversary of Monday Night Raw back in 2007. So since 2009. 2010, he's been in TNA. So Hogan comes out to a gigantic pop. He basically comes out to say this, that he is the host for WrestleMania 30, which we already knew from this past weekend. And saying that this is a turning point in his career, which we could possibly mean that Hogan's ending the line of his wrestling moments. Or that it means that he might try to make another comeback in WWE. So he has his little moment, does his thing with the hands, the crowd reactions, and that's really much it for the opening segment of Raw. So we have the matches now. We have Cesaro versus Big E in a non-title match. Pretty good match. I give it about a 3.5 star rating. But Cesaro loses via disqualification due to his partner Jack Swagger. Comes in, gives a Patriot lock to Big E because during the match Swagger tried to get involved, and Big E clotheslined the living hell out of him. So she's doing the Patriot lock, gets disqualified, and as you can see, there's friction between Swagger and Cesaro, and Colter looks like he has no control over Swagger and Cesaro's emotions. So as you can see, odds are we might have the end of the Real Americans, or this is just the jealousy factor from Swagger that might last maybe till after Mania, or going into Extreme Rules. We'll see how that works out. Also going on, and then afterwards, Big E tried assaulting Jack Swagger, but Cesaro would end up hitting the neutralizer on him, which you might end up seeing Cesaro in the Intercontinental title hunt. Odds are Cesaro would win. Okay, then we have another match with Sheamus and Christian. This started a few weeks ago on SmackDown when they were tag team partners and Christian was still a face, where accidentally Sheamus bro-kicked the living hell out of Christian, costing them the match. And then last week on SmackDown, they had a main event match. Sheamus won with the white noise. Afterwards, Christian would attack Sheamus as that was the last standing moment from Friday Night SmackDown going into the Chamber. So, and also on the pre-show, they had words going on. So Brad Maddox comes along to create a match between the both of them. I give that match probably same as Cesaro and Big E at 3.5, maybe a 4. Because the match ended with Sheamus hitting a bro kick of Christian coming off the top rope. Sheamus is the victor. So then we have another segment with John Cena coming out to confront the Wyatt family. Now he's confronting the family after what they did to him at the Chamber. So Cena comes out to one of his usual pops and basically says this, that he knew something was going to happen to him eventually, because saying that the young superstars have to go through him. And apparently the Wyatts going to go through him. So he calls out Bray Wyatt and the entire Wyatt family. So they come out, and Bray basically calls Cena a false prophet, saying that his words are hollow, that he doesn't mean whatever he says. So Cena told him, and Cena gave him a warning. You better be careful. You step under these ropes, I'm going to basically whip your ass. So all three of them came in, and apparently Cena suffered a knee injury when Eric Rowan grabbed his left leg and he was slammed down. Either could have been hyperextended or maybe even dislocated. We won't know until either they will announce it on the website or Raw next week or any wrestling updates websites. So this is how it's going to be. So at the moment, we probably will end up seeing Cena Wyatt at WrestleMania, where Cena won't be wrestling on Raw, SmackDown live events for a while due to the knee injury until WrestleMania. So after that, then we have Then there's another segment with the Shield in the back. Well, you have Rollins and Reigns again confronting Ambrose apparently about where the hell was he last night. Because if you were last night, I mean Sunday. Because if you saw, Wyatt and Ambrose were fighting in the crowd, and Wyatt came back, and Ambrose was nowhere to be found. We all knew where Rollins was. He was thrown through the announce table by Rowan and Harper, leaving Reigns alone. And apparently Ambrose said, I told you once, I told you 1,000 times, for the past 24 hours, where he was. And we won't know because they didn't say. And Ambrose walks away, leaving Rollins and Reigns looking like, what the hell is wrong with him? And in comes Mr. Bray Wyatt, Rowan, and Harper. Basically to mock the Shield. So Roman Reigns has this. How about we have a match tonight? Me versus you. I leave Ambrose and Rollins in the back. You leave Rowan and Harper in the back. Wyatt agrees to it. And that was the main event of Monday Night Raw. Then as that was being built up, we have a Divas match between Summer Rae and Emma. Emma is the newest, basically one of the newest popular divas on the roster, coming from NXT. As she will be a wave of divas coming from NXT. So Summer Rae and Emma, there's a Divas match because they really don't give them, the Divas match really don't give any good matches. Ever since Caitlyn left, it was really only AJ and Caitlyn that gave the good matches. So this match, I give it a 1.5. Due to Emma wins via submission. She was wrenching the living hell out of Summer Rae's neck. And Emma's corner, of course, she had Santino, and Fandango was in Summer Rae's. And you can see Emma and Santino still in the little love thing. We all know both of them have mental issues, especially Santino. So now we have a segment they show from the pre-show where the Authority was arriving, and Daniel Bryan confronted both Stephanie and Triple H. Confronting them that what the hell does he have to do to finally win the title? Every time he gets close, someone screws him over, if it's Triple H, The Shield, or Kane. So, Triple H was saying something. Bryan then challenged Triple H, said, I'll fight you at WrestleMania. Triple H laughed. He said, I'll find a spot for you on the card at WrestleMania, but tonight you need to worry about your match against the Director of Operations, the Big Red Sellout, Kane. So they had a match. It was a good match. I give it a 3. And Bryan won via the KO knee to Kane's face, even though probably most of us thought that Kane had the victory when he chokeslammed Bryan to hell. But Bryan kicked out. Even Kane, you can see, was shocked as hell. So, then Bryan cuts a little promo saying Triple H is a coward, saying that when he confronted him, that Triple H was hiding behind his wife's skirt. And we know that's going to hurt Triple H, because ever since his marriage to Stephanie, people have always been saying that about him. And Bryan laid the challenge down again for WrestleMania, basically that his yes movement will get him the title, eventually. So odds are at WrestleMania we will see Triple H and Bryan, because we know Triple H will have a response to his manhood being challenged. And we all know Triple H has one of the biggest egos in the history of the company and business. So that should be a good watch at WrestleMania, even though we all know it's supposed to be CM Punk versus Triple H. But Punk left, so they put Bryan in the slot. Okay, then we have the Usos versus the New Age Outlaws in a rematch from the Chamber pay-per-view, but it was a non-title match. And when we got back from the commercial break, the Outlaws are already in the ring, the Usos are already in the ring, so the Outlaws never got a chance to do that little intro. So Road Dogg says, wait a minute, you know what we came here to do. So Road Dogg is giving his little intro, and the moment as he's finishing Outlaws, he gets the living hell super kicked out of him by one of the Usos. Billy Gunn gets clotheslined over the ropes. Uso does the flying off the top. Then the other Uso does the Superfly Splash as he does the DX chop right before he hits Road Dogg. The Usos win the match, which will probably put them right back in the title hunt, probably for a match at WrestleMania against the Outlaws. So, and then we have the main event, Reigns versus Wyatt. Good match. I give it a 3.5. Due to the fact that time was running out and Reigns was making a big time comeback. And as Reigns is setting up for the spear, out comes Mr. Rowan and Harper. But they didn't get involved. All you see is Seth Rollins come out the back, the other side of the ring, jumps over, does a senton over the top, takes out both of the Wyatt members, and that got the crowd going. As you can see, Rollins, if he was in TNA, would be a perfect fit for that X division. So now, as that Then Rowan and Harper start beating the living hell out of Rollins. Out comes Ambrose to save. But then Ambrose stupidly gets involved in the match with Reigns and Wyatt. Attacking Wyatt, Reigns gets disqualified, so Bray Wyatt wins via disqualification. So then the Shield and Wyatt are fighting again. And after the Shield clears the ring, the Wyatts back off like they've been doing the last few weeks. Shield stands dominant in the ring as the music hits. But as you remember, the announcers were saying Bray Wyatt still gets the victory because of Dean Ambrose. So we all know Reigns is going to end up bringing that back up against Ambrose, which could possibly end up leading to a WrestleMania match of maybe even Ambrose versus Reigns, where Seth Rollins is basically stuck because he wants to keep the Shield together. But the ego of Ambrose and Reigns' pride is going to end up ending the Shield. So now we get to the ending segment. As they showed early in the show that Brock Lesnar might be there, so as the match ends, we see this, they're cutting up Brock Lesnar's here, he's been spotted in the back. So, Lesnar comes out with Paul Heyman, there's a table in the ring and a contract on it. Apparently, Triple H and Stephanie gave Lesnar an open contract for WrestleMania 30, means he can challenge anyone he wants. They were not going to give him his title match. So, you know, Lesnar and Heyman are not going to be happy with that. So, Paul Heyman basically says this, that Brock Lesnar eats, sleeps, conquers, and repeats. Brock Lesnar is going to go to WrestleMania to make history. So, and if they weren't going to give him history, don't mention his name in WrestleMania 30 again. As they throw a contract on the table, and as they're leaving, the lights go out, the gong rings, the return of the Phenom, the Undertaker. And we all know, and that from that moment on, we knew Lesnar Taker was going to happen. Taker's in the ring, him and Lesnar have a stare down. Taker looks at the WrestleMania sign. Lesnar already knows. Lesnar signs the contract. And then puts the pen on Taker's chest, which got the crowd oohing. And during Taker's return, and during that whole moment, the crowd was chanting Undertaker, which was one of the loudest reactions of the night, arguably the loudest, except for Hogan's return or even Daniel Bryan's match against Kane. And then, Paul Heyman says, the Taker's right there, the contract is right there, Mr. Undertaker. You want a match against Brock Lesnar, sign it. So, Taker takes the pen, jams it into the big palm of Brock Lesnar, then grabs Lesnar by the throat and chokeslams him through the table all the way to hell, leading to a huge pop, and then Taker stares right back at the WrestleMania 30 sign, leading to Cole saying this, I think that was yes. And then Taker does his thing with the eyes rolling behind his head and the tongue sticking out, and the lights go off. And the lights go off to us seeing Lesnar through a table and the Undertaker standing dominant, which means Taker will attempt to go 22-0 against Brock Lesnar, the one man he hasn't been able to defeat. From the 3 matches they had in 2002 and 2003, when Undertaker was doing his biker gimmick. First we had the match at Unforgiven in 2002. Which basically ended in a no contest because the referee couldn't get control because both of them were beating the living hell out of each other, hitting with chairs. That was the night where the infamous chair shot around Lesnar's head, where that chair just bent around his big, gigantic skull. And they were both bleeding, of course. Which would then lead to a rematch, excuse me, which would then lead to a rematch at No Mercy, the following pay-per-view. In the main event, the WWE title was on the line in Hell in a Cell. This was Undertaker's second time in Hell in a Cell under the biker gimmick. And it was a great Hell in a Cell match. Taker was bleeding everywhere. Lesnar was a bloody mess. Taker had the cast on his hand. So at the event, Lesnar wins. And Lesnar wins and retains the title. And then they would not wrestle again because Big Show would take and throw him off the stage. Injuries. And Lesnar would turn face. But then Lesnar turns heel, and then they end up meeting again a year later at No Mercy 2003 in a biker chain match, which Undertaker lost due to Vince McMahon's involvement, which is again for the WWE title. So Taker is 0-3, 0-2 against Brock Lesnar, because the first time was a no contest. So at WrestleMania, he's going to look to rectify that. And Brock Lesnar will get what he wants to make history at WrestleMania. But apparently after the show, Brock Lesnar was seen limping. Was seen doctors trying to help him after he was chokeslammed through the table, and he was apparently seen limping out of the arena. So who knows? Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. So basically, it seems that WrestleMania 30, two of their matches might be a little bit in doubt, with Cena's injury and Lesnar's injury. So at a Raw, we leave with this. Excuse me. We leave with this: Lesnar versus Taker. Hogan's announcing he's the guest host for WrestleMania, and basically Batista heel turn. So this should be fun going into WrestleMania, as this is when WWE's momentum usually picks up. So, on another note, former TNA... I noticed in the Diva match, there was a former TNA official, Mr. Rudy Charles, who was apparently at the time considered the senior official of the NWA TNA. So that's an interesting note that Rudy Charles, a former TNA official, was in WWE. Noted he was only doing a Divas match, but he has done main event matches for TNA in the past. So instead of seeing Kyoto and Chad Patton and Charles Robertson, you might end up seeing Rudy Charles doing a main event match. See how that goes. So Raw was okay. I give the show a total of 3 stars. It could have gotten a 4-star rating, but the Divas match ruined it a little. The botched injury to Cena, and the Batista Del Rio match, where Orton, of course, gets involved. Batista cuts his little promo. When Orton got involved, Del Rio gets a roll-up win, and no one, again, the Batista chants start, which that's going to end up trending on Twitter. Hashtag Batista. And we all know he's pissed. So tune into this Friday night to see him vent his emotions to the WWE Universe. So this is Big Nick saying goodbye. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. And I'll see you again soon with a WWE DVD review, which will be either later this week or next week. And of course, next Tuesday for my second Monday Night Raw review. Goodbye.